Good evening, everyone. What an honor it is to be selected to be here tonight and receive the Distinguished Services Award. Arthur Page is an organization that I have always taken enormous pride in being part of over the last 20 years, believe it or not. The connections, the education, the community, and shared values that bring us together are essential to the health and progress of our industry. Plus, it's been a ton of fun. Before I get into the heart of my remarks, I want to thank some of the people who helped make tonight possible. Thank you to the awards committee for your consideration and recognition. Thank you to Rochelle Ford, our president, whose strategic and intellectual contributions are unsurpassed. Thank you to Frank Oviatt. Some of you don't know Frank, but he was former chairman of the board of the Institute for Public Relations, who nominated me and has been a close colleague, confidant, and a champion, and who was instrumental in making this award possible. I also want to give a big thank you to Don Wright, professor of public relations at Boston University, who inspired this nomination. Thank you, Don. And to my family and the hundreds, I'll clap to that too. I also want to thank my family and I would thank the hundreds of employees that have worked for Makovsky over the years, because without both of those, the reason all of this is possible would not have taken place. So I thank all of these people. The growth of the public relations industry since I entered the field in the 60s is downright staggering. In the 1960s, there were approximately 30,000 people in the field. In 2025, there are 300,000. There is a 10 times growth, and many as they believe think we're just getting started. Now, there are 7 principles that have guided the Page organization, and these principles apply across the industry, from telling the truth to proving it with action to practicing calm. I've chosen to focus on one of them, practicing calm, and want to highlight an additional value which I believe is embedded in all 7 principles. It is my call to action. Be resourceful. What does that mean? The value and utility of resourcefulness are constants, regardless of the tools or technology. Resourcefulness is not abstract. It is based on mindset, skills, and action, and it's learning how to adapt, how to leverage the tools of the time, and how to keep going no matter what the circumstances. Resourcefulness means being an optimist, a realist, and a problem solver. Action is required in all 3, but so is creativity. Resourcefulness is not innate, as some people might think. It is a learned skill. I'd like to think resourcefulness has been a major through line in my own story. How did I choose public relations as a career? Well, I enrolled at Washington University Law School and have my Juris Doctor degree, but it quickly became clear that law wasn't for me. In fact, I hated it. Many nights till 11, 12 midnight briefing cases in the law library, and not the emotional attachment that I was looking for. So what happened around that time, I happened to attend a Stan Musial retirement ceremony. Now, Stan Musial, for those of you who don't know, is a St. Louis Cardinal baseball star, and he's a godlike figure in St. Louis, and everybody wants him on their board. And I was struck by the pageantry of this ceremony and of the experience I was having while watching it. I looked and I was curious to find out who was behind it. And I looked into it and found that a firm, which say we all know well, named Fleischman Hillard, was orchestrating behind the scenes. So I decided to take a chance and call Al Fleischman cold. Told him I was a law student. And I really see Al Fleischman today as one of the founding fathers of the industry. And much to my surprise, after I finished my pitch to Al Fleischman on the phone, he said, "Why don't you come up to my office and let's talk?" So I did. And he said to me, "Hey, kid, you like the practice of advocacy, but you don't like law. Try public relations." And he showed me some books he had written on communications, and he said, "Read them, come back to me, and let's have a conversation." So I did that, and his big advice to me was, after we had a discussion of the field, go to New York, that's where the center of the action is. And I did. That's exactly what I did. And I described that moment as resourceful enough to ask, then resourceful enough to act. Became the beginning of my career in PR and changed my life forever. I worked at a large agency for 10 years when I decided to take the leap as an entrepreneur, and in 1979 started Makovsky and Company. It was just me and one assistant. The economy was in terrible shape, but I realized there is never a perfect time to start a business. So I made the leap. I made a commitment to myself. I would be resourceful, stay optimistic, and I would apply as much discipline as I could muster to get the firm off the ground. I set an impossible target of having 2 major feature stories on the firm and a key speaking engagement, and we met all of those 2 targets every day. We also set up a target of trying to make 25 sales calls a day, and we actually did achieve that many days. At the center of sales, in my opinion, is networking. And networking has always been one of the most important forms of resourcefulness for me. Networking, at its heart, is turning resourcefulness into resources. It isn't just about collecting contacts, it's about creating connections that open doors where none seem to exist. Resourcefulness is knowing who to call when the answer isn't obvious. Networking can be uncomfortable, but I think good networking learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. One example of resourcefulness early on at Makovsky in 1983, I saw that clients were looking for global reach. As an independent, we couldn't match the holding companies, so we created something called IPREX, which is an international network of independent agencies. And we traveled the world to find partners, and together we built something larger than any one of us could have done alone. Today, IPREX is in 100 markets, and has over 1,100 employees around the world. And Greg Berman, our New Orleans partner, is with us tonight. Thank you, Greg. If resourcefulness has been a through line of my career, then calm has been its steady partner, one of our principles. The Page principle that has always spoken to me: remain calm, patient, and good-humored. Calm lays the groundwork for success, and when a crisis arises, remember this: cool heads communicate best. I've always believed in that. Calm creates the space for people to find answers together. Panic-driven communications is in conflict with great leadership. Resourcefulness and calm are not opposites. They are partners. Calm creates the clarity to be resourceful, and resourcefulness gives calm its purpose. Together, they have guided me not just in business, but in life. Therefore, let me recommend that being resourceful be considered for a new Page principle, number 8. Once again, it is truly an honor to receive this award. I'm excited about the future and the leaders that bring to the table the best of our industry. I feel proud to have played at least a minor role in the growth here, and humbled to be honored tonight by people and by an industry that really means the world to me. Have a great evening.